All right, y'all, in this video, we'll be going over a 90-90 sequence from passive to active and doing a few more things on top of that, which will build on top of each other. Be sure to do whatever's written in your program. All right, so different 90-90 variations. We're going to be in this base position. This our front leg, an external rotation, back leg, an internal rotation, right? So if I'm going from here to the other side, doing a 90-90 switch passively, you're going to lean back if you need to, allow the hips to open up, and switching on over to the other side. Fully rotating towards that front leg and allowing the hips to just passively open into a 90-90 switch. Doing our best to keep our feet here as we move from one space to another, not allowing them to do your heels and feet to move in all sorts of weird ways. If you end up like this, be sure to reestablish that 90-degree angle at the knees. If you find this difficult, trying to stay upright, the regression is to lean back. So being in less hip flexion, lean back, lean back, lean back, creating more space for the front of those hips in order to create more space for them to move, right? And if you want to challenge yourself, you try to stay more upright as you move from one position to another. Slowing down also helps. And again, we're looking for pain-free reps. If you really want to challenge yourself, you can go arms out, no hands, and allow your hips to come along for the ride, right? That's passive. Active 90-90 switch, right? So reestablishing position. I'm going to allow my pelvis to dip back, and the leg and hip that's in internal rotation, that's going to lead the charge, is going to actively open up. And as you can see, this is the only leg that's moving. And while I reach its end range, this leg is going to want to come along for the ride, right? But what we're going to do is this opposite leg is going to drive the opposite direction to try and pry your hips open. And you're going to move nice and slow. So as my left leg that's leading is opening up actively to the left, my other hip is trying to pry open to the right, and I'm trying to create as much space as possible. And naturally, this leg is going to come along for the ride regardless, right? But I'm going to actively try and keep them separate as I come into the other side. Fully establish yourself here. Allow that hip to drop. Actively rotate away into the other side. This other leg is driving away, moving nice and slow as I actively switch into the 90-90 position. And again, if that's difficult for you, but you feel as though you can do it, find whichever position of your torso makes it accessible but not easy. You know, if I'm back here and I'm just actively going, sure, that can be beneficial to a degree, but I want to find right at the edge where it's just difficult enough, pain-free, very hard, but doable. And again, if you have great hip mobility and you want to do this actively, you can be up here, chest up, trying to pull your tailbone back, and switching actively through that 90-90 position. All right. So whether you're doing active switches or passive switches, the next two movements that we can sprinkle on top of that can be done. So say I go from here to here passively, right? Once we reach this point, that backhand plants, hip thrust. You can think of this as a hip thrust or a hip extension. And you're driving your hips forward, coming up on that front tibia, that front shin bone, and then driving your arm back for a hip flexor stretch. So up and back, exhale, down, switch sides, drive your hips forward, reach up and back, not to the side, but back behind you, and down. And again, switch, up, down, switch, up, down, connecting breath with movement. Now to add on top of that, you switch, drive. Now this may be a little difficult, but with time you'll get it. Not difficult, but confusing. This back leg now comes forward and you catch yourself in a lunge position. So you just did up, leg comes forward, lunge position, lean, planted leg hip flexor stretch, plant the hand, bring the leg back down into a 90-90 position, switch, up, leg forward. I run into my massage table, stretch, and down. If you want to challenge yourself, no hands at all, come through. You'll need your hand for this one. Hands up, forward, stretch, bring yourself down with control, and switch. Right? So those are options for you. That would be the progression, I would say, is passive to active, to the hip thrust and reach, to the lunge, and then back through to the other side. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.